Welcome to the Smart Thinking Podcast. This is my dad, Ted.
Welcome to the Smart Thinking Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Knightsky. Lately, I've been reading a lot about the importance of having multiple layers of support in your life to assist your mental fitness and your well-being. Today, I want to do some smart thinking around the people you surround yourself with and how you lead others as a colleague or a friend. This all comes from the mid-year smart thinking retreat we had a couple weeks ago, where we heard the newest findings from Gallup around well-being, engagement, gratitude, and recognition. It was an amazing presentation by Emily Lawrence from Gallup, but it left a little hole in the hearts of everyone in the room. Why? Because people are just okay. They're just okay. Listen to this. U.S. employees' daily negative emotions have all gone up, with the exception of one indicator in the last year. And some of them are at historic highs. What's one of the historic highs? Stress. 51% of employees indicating that they daily feel high amounts of stress. 11% increase in worrying about their conditions, their job, and their life. Anger is up. Sadness is up. And the only one that dipped just a little bit was loneliness. But still, significant areas of need for employees in the United States around daily negative emotions. Now follow that up with people feeling that their employers care about their well-being, and that number is also at a historic low for the last 10 years. 24% of people in the workplace feel that their organization cares about their well-being, leaving 76% of people wondering if anybody cares. And then, the one that dropped the most in the recent history is that less than 46% of employees understand what's expected of them every day at work, leaving 54% of the people understanding what they're doing and so many more not knowing what's going on. Expectations around collaboration, expectations around alignment, not understanding what's regularly needed in the organization. This compounds into a lot of stress and then a feeling of people not understanding the mission and purpose of their organization. Right now, 30% of U.S. employees find the mission or purpose of their company makes them feel important in their job, leaving 70% of people not knowing if they're making a difference. And then something that Gallup is calling the Great Detachment. Right now, 18% of American employees feel extremely satisfied in their work, while 51% of employees, again, a new historic high in the last 10 years, are watching for or actively seeking a new job. Half the people we work with are actively looking for new work, while only 1 in 5 feel they know what's going on in the workplace. Jeez. And the 5 things that are fueling all of this, which is called the Great Detachment, is because of change taking place, different shifts in organizational work patterns, customer expectations and stakeholder expectations, expectations for new employees, and then broken performance management practices. That seems like a lot. But what are we going to do about it? Because we're smart thinkers. We're not going to sit around and wallow and wonder. Nope. First, before we even get into it, let's do a couple of reminders here. Number 1, we're all leaders, which means that we have influence over other people. Every minute of every day, we are walking through the world, minding our business, and as a result, sometimes people are just watching what we are doing. Other times, we are not minding our business, and we are being intentional about our actions and our leadership. And that's what makes us leaders, is the intentionality and recognition by each of us that we make a difference. Now remember, while leading, we're also followers, following missions, expectations, charging towards goals, and making sure that we are demonstrating the care principle, that we are collaborating with others, we're holding ourselves accountable, that we are resilient, and we are engaged. And we fuel all of this, and it drives us each day because we are empathetic, wondering what it would be like to be the people around us, wondering what the impact we make on others is, and then we are reflective on all of it, asking ourselves what went well and what would I change tomorrow. All in an effort to move ourselves forward, because we're buffaloes, and we always charge into the storms that we face. And that's why we need a herd. Data like this always hurts my heart. However, there are two things in the workplace that will ultimately fuel your optimism and perseverance: being surrounded by good people that care about you, and being a good person that cares about others. So while the world of work isn't the best it's ever been, maybe it's time for us buffaloes to do something about it. As I sat through the presentation, all I thought to myself was these poor people all around me, all around the country, sitting there in a position where they don't have the well-being that they need. They're not feeling connected in their work. And the whole time I thought, who are they working with? Well, maybe it's time for us to come to the rescue and be Buffalo colleagues who help people get out of their pits of pessimism. So how do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple, friends. But wait, before I tell you, I want to share with you a story about a time someone came to my rescue and helped me remember that good friends and colleagues can make a world of difference. A few years ago, I experienced the loss of my brother John. He was my baby brother. I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and it was Teddy, Tommy, and Johnny Knightsky. And John unexpectedly passed away, tragically passed away, just dying one night in the emergency room. Wasn't sick, didn't have any symptoms, just unfortunately passed away. It was tragic for our family because we weren't expecting it. And John and I had talked the night that he died. He was his normal self, stressed out about work, laughing about my day, and enjoying stories about his niece and nephew, Charlie and Grace. We had been together the weekend before, and we had enjoyed a great evening together as a full family, watching our favorite band play at a nature center. And that band was the Wellpennies. So we had felt full. There were no regrets, like we never got to be with them or we never spent any time with them. And after my youngest brother John passed away, I experienced a lot of weird emotions. Now, through it all, I was optimistic, celebrating his life, celebrating his impact, consoling others, maintaining my sense of humor, working to stay purposeful, and managing the aftermath of his loss while being a dad and a husband with my grieving family. I grieved by living. You can go deep into the podcast and find the episode where I talked about this experience. However, through it all, I had a few friends who daily checked in on me. And frankly, I was kind of getting annoyed as they kept calling and asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. Could they do anything for me? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay because I'm busy. I'm not stopping and I'm not wallowing. Yes, I cried a ton in silence, especially when I would go for runs and see his apartment or run past the restaurant that he ran or just see reminders of our childhood. But in those quiet moments, I was just by myself. And I think one of my friends figured that out because he demonstrated extreme understanding of who I was and what I needed as a person. And he demonstrated care in a way that I have now adopted for others when they experience loss. About a week after the funeral, this friend of mine called and asked if he could do anything. I laughed and said, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I have so many things going on that I don't really even have time to think about it. I'm just moving forward. Then my friend said, listen, I'm going to call you every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to ask you if you need anything. And here's what I want you to do, Ted. I want you to start a list of things that you might need. That way, when I call, then I can help you, and you're ready. He then laid into me. He scolded me and told me I needed to accept the love and support of other people and stop being so stubborn and trying to be everything for everyone. I, of course, remember making some jokes and said, yeah, I'll keep a list. As weeks passed, he kept calling and checking in on Wednesdays. Here was my friend holding me accountable like I would do for anybody else and making certain that I was okay. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks, my emotions finally had caught up, and they got the best of me as I was dealing with settling my brother's apartment and his finances. I remember being on the side of the road because I had pulled over as I was talking to his landlord, and then suddenly the other line started to bing. And I was like, sir, I need to go, because it was Wednesday at 1 p.m., and it was my friend. Now, my friend is a busy executive. He runs a large organization. He has a family. He's very active civically. He's always doing things. So on top of him asking me to give him things that I needed, I was always keeping that in mind. And finally, I flipped over to his phone call and he said, "Hey, Ted, what can I do for you?" And I just decided, you know what? I need to be honest with him. Now, this is weeks later, and all I said was, "I just think I need my friends." Now, this friend didn't know all of my closest friends. And I thought he was joking when he asked, "All right, who do I need to get?" And I was like, "Well, I need Tom, I need Josh." I rattled off my friends. And then he said, "Well, what would you want to do?" And again, I was playfully engaging him and said, "Well, you know what? Some cold beers, a warm fire, and some comfort food would be awesome. But hey, I'm serious. Don't worry about it, man. You don't have to do all that stuff for me." I seriously didn't even give it another thought. 2:00 came, 3:00 came. Finally, I went back from my working job and I pulled into the driveway around 5:30. I saw a few cars in the front of the house, but I was so absorbed with work and my emotions that I actually paid no attention to it. I went through the garage into the back door and I found a note on the kitchen table. It was from my wife and kids. And it said, "We are gone. Call us when it's over." And it had a little heart on it. I looked out the back door and there they were. My closest 5 friends from my childhood and life, all from different elements of my life. A college buddy, a high school friend, a grade school friend, a cousin, and my friend, who had called every Wednesday, sitting around a fire, drinking beer, and my buddy contacted all of them. The fire was going, food had been cooked, and cold beers were waiting. I was rescued by my friends, and I didn't even realize it was what I had needed. I needed a night of fellowship, friendship, and support for my emotional wellness. My friends sat around the fire till very late into the evening in the middle of summer, peppering me with questions about my little brother, and all I felt was, well, I felt all the feels, and I slowly healed around that fire. And every time I get into a little pit of pessimism, I think of what my friend had done for me. And this, friends, is what we need to do for each other. We need to realize what's happening in the lives of those we sit next to every day, those we walk past in the hall, those we support, and those we love. Coming to the rescue for a colleague is what needs to occur. All of the data suggests that working, living, and thriving are more difficult now than ever before. And I believe that has a lot to do with the simple fact that we are now willing to talk about what's going on. We are willing to address it and be honest about it. And now we just need to find out what it takes to confront all of these storms. Well, I know what it takes. It's a formula. Well, Ted, what is that formula? Well, heck yeah, I got one for you. We all need to put ourselves in the state of support for those around us and rescue each other. And of course, it's an acronym for the way in which we must do things. The R stands for something, the E, the S, the C, the U, and the E. And I'm about to share that with you. But coming to the rescue for someone is not like heroic. It's necessary because we see them in need and we race to them. People, we need to create the conditions for our own success and not wait for the manager, the principal, the boss, or someone else to do it for us. Just remember this. There are 3 things that each of us own and no one can choose for us: happiness, engagement, and our mindset. And the science on that is really clear because no one can make our choices. The choice to do those things gets easier if we surround ourselves with people who care and support us as well as each other. Now, if you are a disengaged person, constantly pessimistic and negative and love sitting around other people and mooing about your day and work, you're absolutely going to hate this. Or maybe you'll love it. But if you are engaged, I'm going to put words and actions to how we can rescue our colleagues who are stuck in looping cycles of disengagement, or not thriving, or are looking for jobs, or are trapped in narratives about themselves or others. Coming to the rescue means that you as a colleague are constantly aware of the 6 behaviors of great friends. Number 1, you help and provide resources. Number 2, you are empathetic. Number 3, you support those people in their strengths. Number 4, you challenge them. 5, you understand them. And 6, you support and create expectations for them. Guess what that spells? Rescue. Friends, Especially as we get older, we need to see that our role is not simply to agree with everyone around us. My goodness, a friend does not simply agree with you when you are stuck in a pit of pessimism, fuel your anger or rage, or make you angry. We do not validate your negativity. We should be challenging it. People in the workplace who get stuck in cow mode and are victims of everything, they find joy in casting blame, and they avoid the positive people. They're simply trapped, and they need to be rescued. So what does that look like? Well, it starts with expectations from you. Number one, expecting that people are problem solvers, that are stepping into each other's space and optimistically challenging the situations their colleagues or friends are in. I kept telling my friend I didn't need anything when he would call. And he was prepared because he knew I didn't need it when he called, but he knew me, and he knew I was in a not yet situation with him. And he demonstrated a rescue principle. He was resilient. He was engaged. He was empathetic. And he was there, especially when I needed him. And when I went into the I need something mode, he jumped on the opportunity because he never gave up. He never gave up on me. Most people, especially Midwest nice people, ask you if you need something, and when you say no, they take it as a ticket to move on. Well, guess what? Colleagues who come to the rescue don't act that way. So what does it look like? Well, R is for resources. The minute you need help, my first job is to get you the resources, support, processes, and ideas, iterations, innovations, and strategies to help you get the answers you need. The second thing I must do is be empathetic. I need to then operate in an empathy mode and find out what you're going through so that I can, S, support your strengths and remind you of your blind spots to get you to lean into what you do best. Stop going into the areas that you know you're not good at, that you don't have the strengths for, and go to the things that are your defaults, the strengths that you automatically go to, so that we can support you in that lane of life. Opposed to, I can't do this, I'll never get out of this. There's no rescuing someone who won't put out their hand. So R is resources, E is empathy, S is support, and C is challenge. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to act with strong, friendly integrity and make certain that you are not quitting on yourself or others. And I'm going to politely, yet firmly, challenge your assumptions, your narratives, your mindset, and emotions to ensure you are ready to go. I'm going to challenge the idea that you are giving so many other people so much power over you. I'm going to say things to you like, it's not fair that you're letting this person control your happiness, your mindset, and your engagement, because those are our choices. Don't give that over to them. Which then leads me to you, understanding. However, I am also understanding of your situation and act as the bridge for the valleys that are created between your peaks. I'm going to step in there and I'm going to help you cross over as needed to ensure that you can grow forward. And finally, the E, R-E-S-C-U-E, expectations. I'm going to create expectations while maintaining the expectation that you act, and I lovingly will hold you accountable. Because of the fact that we sat down, because of the fact that I stepped into your storm, because of the fact that I am now getting wet alongside of you, I'm going to expect that you do something about it. And that, friends, is what will happen if you go to the rescue. You see, all of these things happening in the world are not in isolation. All of this data that she shared with us, while you may feel that you're the only one experiencing it, Gallup clearly sees a trend here, and I want you to break it. Break it for yourself and break it for others. You control your happiness, mindset, and engagement. But oh man, it is a lot easier if on occasion a friend or colleague comes to the rescue and shakes you into reality. Because while I own those things about myself, sometimes it's hard. But what's not hard is when you see someone struggling to just step forward and put out your hand. We want to grab people before they fall, just as they're about to slip. The most dangerous colleague in the world is the one that fuels your negativity. And if you have people like that in your life, don't sit in their storm. Run to yours. Great cultures are filled with amazing people willing to do more for others and serve the mission through their service to you. Can you practice the rescue principle this week and every week? Can you be the person who runs into my storm alongside of me, starts the fire, gets the beer, and has my friends waiting for me? Can you do that for others? And then when you need it, do you have someone around you who will do it for you? I mean, when you need someone to come to the rescue, will they provide resources and get people what they need? Will they be empathetic and put themselves in their shoes? Will they support people with their strengths, identifying how they can get through it? Will they challenge people, positively pushing back on their negative narratives? Will they be understanding of what they need to succeed because they may not see it? And finally, will they have expectations? The expectation that they will hear your voice and it'll give them courage when they are on their own? In other words, when I have to confront this situation, I literally feel the weight of you on my shoulders and I hear your voice in my ear because you came to the rescue and you are going to hold me to account. And it all boils down to one thing: choice. You choose to be rescued and you choose to rescue others, which is smart thinking at its finest. A buffalo that needs a nudge or does the nudging. Either way, the storm is coming, so we might as well face it together. So let's do some smart thinking. Describe who needs to be rescued in your life. List the times you had a friend rescue you. And describe how you would be best served by your colleagues moving forward in your life and leadership. That's it. That's the Smart Thinking Podcast. Hey, friends, as always, thank you for listening. I do greatly appreciate it. And the energy that comes from when you contact me and send me notes, I really appreciate that. It sparks a lot of conversations and coaching. Thank you for sharing this podcast. And please make sure to rate the podcast if you get the opportunity on your platform. And remember, this is the last week to pre-purchase the children's book I wrote, Duke Storm. Just go to the CISA 6 website and click the shopping cart. Allison and I are spending next weekend signing and shipping all of them with the very cool little cute stickers that come along with the pre-orders. And of course, thank you to the Well Pennies for their great music. The Well Pennies is a band that has been just fundamental in the formation of my life and my family. And like I shared today, the very last night I got to spend in person with my brother was watching the Well Pennies perform at a nature center in an outdoor concert on a gorgeous summer night in Wisconsin. So their music has meaning to all of us, and I'm so grateful that Brian and Sarah let me use it every single week. Okay, last thing here. There are two final behaviors of people who demonstrate the rescue principle in their friendships and work relationships, and I could not make it spell out anything, so I'm keeping them separate. The rescue principle is fueled by two other things: challenge and validation. Great friends are not going to let you BS them into anything. Great friends will challenge your assumptions, catch you casting blame, and ensure you hold yourself accountable through reflection. The challenge is that we are not afraid to remind you of you, and we're not afraid of you. We understand that our friendship is built upon candor and love. We are not afraid to step into the storm that is you and remind you to knock it off sometimes, or to encourage you to keep going. We will do all of this lovingly, and sometimes it can come at the expense of the relationship stability. And that's okay, because if we see you dropping into the pit of pessimism, we've got to grab you before you fall in there, and then find other people to reinforce your negativity. When we rescue others, sometimes it is for themselves and from their own blind spots, their stubborn streaks, or their habits. And that's why we have to challenge them. Yet, we also have to validate. The single greatest factor in changing someone's behavior is to positively reinforce the different things that they are doing well. And we validate when you are right, when we've done things wrong, or when you've been wronged, and we validate your decisions. We do this in an effort to build your courage and reinforce that your character, responses, and feelings, they're really real. You can never, in the rescue principle, downplay how someone is feeling. However someone's feeling is how they are feeling. So what we need to do instead is validate that, challenge them, and move them forward. Because in the end, we want people to have the strength so that they do not feel detached from the world, that they can step into the spaces provided with the challenges we all face, and that they are good for themselves, and as a result, great for others. And finally, if you don't have friends like this, well, an unspoken expectation can never be met. So tell your friends you need them to be there to rescue you on occasion, and explain that you will rescue them. Explain what it means and give them the permissions that many of us need to be best for you. I don't know some of the people I work with if they'd be super comfortable if I just came rolling in one day and said, "Hey, I'm here to rescue you, and here's what that means." But if I did come rolling in after sharing the rescue principle with them and saying, "If I ever see you in this situation, these are the things I'm going to do," well, then they would expect it, they would be predictable, and they would be engaged because they knew you were there from a place of love, care, and concern for their success. And in the end, we are who we believe we are until someone or something steps into our narrative and changes it for us. Leaders are people with great influence over others, and as soon as you begin to rescue others and show them what it looks like, how it feels, and how rewarding it can be, well, then you'll come home one night and all your friends will be sitting there waiting for you to help you get out of a pit and back into the prairie so that you can keep charging.
I can't be found, and I feel the weight of it all over town. And I'm so far away, but I get a little closer every day. You're my star, you're my shaker, you're my ground, my aviator. And I say, it's alright, I'm okay, and I got nothing in my way. You're my reason for the song, and now I feel like I belong. Take a breath, little light, burn it up with me tonight. Wide awake here with you, 'cause nobody loves me like you do. And I feel so small when they never even notice me at all. Life, it knocks me down, but it doesn't seem as hard this time around. 'Cause you're my star, you're my shaker, you're my ground, my aviator. And I say, it's alright, I'm okay, and I got nothing in my way. You're my reason for the song, and now I feel like I belong. Take a breath, little light, burn it up with me tonight. Wide awake here with you, 'cause nobody loves me like you do. Like a kid, though I paid my dues more than they ever did. And I'll try even more till there's something here that wasn't here before. You're my star, you're my shaker, you're my crown, my aviator. And I say, it's alright, I'm okay, and I got nothing in my way. You're my reason for the song, and now I feel like I belong. Take a breath, little light, burn it up with me tonight. Wide awake here with you, 'cause nobody loves me like you. Nobody loves me like you. Nobody loves me like you do.